Welcome to this training session on configuring Mint with OSE, where we're going to take a look at some use cases. First, we're going to start with an introduction, what OSE is and why Mint configuration matters. From there, we'll go through the life cycle of the configuration, from the catalog to activation. The biggest part of our time goes to 4 Mint configuration use cases. That's really the core of the course. After that, we'll talk about strategic reuse, when to save as, download, or version. We'll cover design guidelines, UX writing, and roles and visibility. Finally, we'll take a look at some key takeaways. Let's start with the introduction. Before we configure anything, I want us to align on 3 things. What OSE actually is, why a Mint network would ever need configuration in the first place, and how the Opus interface is laid out. To start with, let us refresh our basic knowledge of key terminologies related to Opus. Opus separates 2 things, the application and the solution. The application is a headless API. Think of it as the engine. The solution is the user interface and the configured behavior, what users actually see and do. For Mint specifically, the application underneath is the multi-enterprise process link, and the solution on top is the multi-enterprise information network tower with the Mint experience. So what is OSE? The Open Solution Environment, OSE, is the no-code layer where a solution designer configures 6 things: business objects, pages, menus, workflows, roles, and policies, all configured with a drag-and-drop interface. Here's the key idea to remember. We're not rebuilding the engine. We're configuring the dashboard, the controls, and who's allowed to touch them. The application logic underneath stays unchanged. So why configure Mint? Let's make this concrete with a scenario. Imagine Medivonic, a global medical device manufacturer. They've just partnered with a new contract manufacturer, Renderico, to keep up with demand. To work together, they have to exchange transactions like purchase orders, but their systems don't match. Different data formats and field definitions, different approval workflows and business rules, and different role-based access models. OSE takes a metadata-driven, no-code approach to close that gap quickly. Look at the before and after here. On the left, we have the standard Mint experience, a strong baseline designed for common business processes with standard labels, standard page layouts, standard workflow behavior, and standard menu visibility. This works well as a starting point, but each company or partner may have unique terminology, user roles, approval needs, or process preferences. On the right, after configuration, labels are aligned to organizations' preferred terminology, irrelevant fields are hidden, and search is simplified. The workflow is extended with a pending approval gate, and role-based menus help users see the work that is relevant to them. In this course, we'll bring together the key configuration concepts used to shape a Mint solution. You'll see how different configuration areas work together, including page layouts, search columns, menus, workflows, roles, permissions, solution lifecycle, versioning, and reuse. Rather than focusing on each area in isolation, this course shows how these pieces connect in real Mint configuration scenarios. The goal is to help you understand not only what can be configured, but also how to make practical configuration decisions. As we move through the course, think about how each setting supports the overall user experience, process flow, access model, and long-term solution maintenance. If you want to explore any topic in more detail after this course, Tracing University includes additional resources such as Getting Started with OSE for Mint and Mastering the Open Solution Environment Design Guidance. These resources can help reinforce the concepts and provide deeper guidance when you need it. Now let's talk about the configuration lifecycle. You can't edit a standard solution directly, so how does a change you make actually reach a live Mint network? The answer is a governed lifecycle, and that's what this section is about. Let's walk through the full lifecycle step by step. Step 1, select. You start by choosing a standard or marketplace solution in the catalog, but remember you can't edit a standard solution directly. Step 2, save as. Saving that solution as a company solution is what makes it editable. It then shows up under Available Company Solutions. Step 3, configure. This is where all the actual OSE configuration happens: pages, menus, roles, and workflows. Step 4, activate and test. When you move the solution from edit to test, that triggers the pack process, an automated background job that bundles all the metadata, configurations, and assets into a versioned, deployable package. This is where you validate that it behaves the way you intended. Step 5, release. Moving it to release publishes it. Once the pack process finishes, it appears on the company solutions search page under the catalog side menu. And step 6, activate. A system administrator uses Opus administration to apply that company solution to a specific network. They edit the network, set the standard solution switch to no, choose the company solution, and save. Let's now take a look at Mint configuration use cases. Use case 1 is changing terminology by aligning labels to a customer's terminology or to your company's specific terminology. That's terminology alignment. Use case 2 is simplifying the UI, hiding fields, trimming columns, streamlining pages. That's user experience simplification. Use case 3 is configurable workflows, pausing or blocking a transition using conditions. That's process control. And use case 4 is bringing ORD reports into Mint, reusing a marketplace report inside your solution. That's strategic reuse. Let's start with use case 1, changing terminology. Here's a typical requirement. A customer wants to rename forecast plan to planning schedule or adjust field labels to match the words their business users actually use. Look at the examples on the screen. Forecast plan becomes planning schedule, party ID value becomes partner code, send purchase order becomes outbound PO. The value here is real. Terminology changes improve comprehension when your users simply speak differently than the standard solution does. If everyone on the team says planning schedule, making them mentally translate forecast plan every time just adds friction. But here's the caution. Keep your UI text concise, clear, and consistent. Direct language, present tense, title case for titles, sentence case for assistive text. So now think about this. What's a label in a system that you use you'd rename tomorrow if you could? And who else would that change affect? So if you decide a terminology change makes sense, here's a repeatable pattern for doing it well. Step 1, identify the actual user confusion. What's really tripping people up? Step 2, confirm both the standard term and the proposed term. Step 3, check everywhere that term appears, and that's the part people underestimate. Step 4, update only where it's appropriate. And step 5, validate the change with representative users before you call it done. Now look at the right side, because this is the key insight. The same term can live in a lot of places, including pages, menus, filters, reports, and workflows, and even your training materials. A label change can be simple, but it's important to apply it consistently across related areas, so users see the same terminology throughout the experience. Use case 2, simplifying the UI. The capability here is straightforward. OSE lets you configure page layouts with drag and drop. You can place fields, set field visibility to hide what's needed, update page titles and assistive text, configure filter panels and adjust which columns show up in search results. The depth of how to do each of those lives in the Configuring Pages course. But the judgment call is where I want your attention. There's a real difference between removing clutter and hiding important information. The goal is to reduce cognitive load so users can work faster and more accurately, while still keeping the information they need to complete their work effectively. Let's look at how simplification works across different page types, because each page type supports a different user task. A search page helps users find records quickly. On this page, you configure the filters and choose which columns appear in the search results table. A new page helps users create a record clearly and efficiently. On this page, you add the relevant fields, set a clear title, and assistive text such as the new and submit buttons. A view edit page helps users review, decide, and update information. On this page, you add sections, collections, and switch components to make the user experience easier to use. The key takeaway is simple. A search page works best when you keep columns focused, while a view edit page works best when sections are organized logically. Match what you configure to the task the user is performing on that page. Imagine a purchase order is created in Mint. If a purchase order value is above $10,000, the business may not want it to move forward automatically. Instead, it should pause at pending approval. If approval is provided, the PO moves to approved. If approval is denied, it moves to rejected. Other examples include blocking a PO when a required field is missing, routing high-risk or delayed POs for review, or sending notifications when a PO reaches an approval step. This is where advanced workflows are useful. Every business object, such as a purchase order, has a standard workflow. The standard workflow cannot be modified directly, but it can be extended with substates, transitions, conditions, and actions. Once extended, it becomes a configured workflow or company workflow. In this diagram, pending approval, approved, and rejected are the added substates. A condition runs before the state update and decides whether the transition is allowed or blocked. The key point is that manually editing a field is not the same as using a controlled workflow transition with conditions and actions. Workflows help enforce process discipline. One additional tip is to model the workflow first. Diagram your states, transitions, conditions, and actions before you configure them, ideally in collaboration with an Opus developer. A workflow condition actually makes its decision at a concept level. Conceptually, a condition looks at the object and returns one of two answers, allow or block. Look at the pseudocode on the left. In the first example, if the approver field is empty, we block the transition until the user approval is required before moving to approved. In the second, if the order's total value is over a threshold, we route it to review instead of letting it proceed. The exact syntax and which objects and fields you actually have access to depend on your implementation context. So you need to validate this in a real environment with technical guidance. Keep your logic predictable, testable, and documented. Use case 4, bringing ORD reports into your Mint solution. The pattern here is strategic reuse. Partners publish marketplace solutions, and a single partner can publish several solutions, such as ORD reports or POET. So when you find a marketplace report you want, the real question is, how should that report relate to the original? You have 3 paths shown here as a decision. If it fits exactly as it is, use it as is and simply reuse it. If it needs some changes, save a copy. Use Save As to create a company solution and then customize it, since you can't edit the standard or marketplace solution directly. If your reporting need is genuinely unique, create a separate and distinct company solution. The main lesson is simple. Reuse existing assets when they fit, customize when you need to, and avoid unnecessary duplication. One caution, this use case may require confirming which marketplace assets are actually available and compatible in your context, so verify that before you commit. Let's generalize that last decision because it applies well beyond reports. Whenever you reuse something, you're really choosing between 3 paths: version, save as, or download. The right choice comes down to one question. Are we replacing existing behavior, customizing a copy that coexists with the original, or creating a fully independent path? Use version when you're replacing or evolving existing behavior. The new version supersedes the old. Use save as when you want a copy that coexists with the original. That's your customizable variant. Use download when you need an independent copy and you're not expecting to stay aligned with the original going forward. Why does this matter? Choosing the wrong path can create maintenance issues or prevent you from benefiting from future updates to the original solution. If you download when you actually want to receive future updates from TraceLink, you may be redoing that work by hand. Let me give you a quick scenario. A partner wants a standard report plus 2 extra columns, and they want to continue receiving future updates from TraceLink over time. Which path would you choose? You would choose save as or a version, not a download, precisely because they want to stay aligned. For our last section, let's talk about design guidelines. Let's start with the Opus Ensemble design patterns. Before that, let's level set on what Opus Ensemble is. Opus Ensemble is our global user experience for the Opus platform, providing personalized settings, navigation, company context, tools, and notifications through an intuitive browser-like interface. It lets users work across multiple tracing solutions in one window using tabs without constantly switching browser sessions. Now, on the left are the interface building blocks, and you'll recognize these from earlier. The fixed user context area, the browser-like tabs across solutions, the main content area for rich interaction, the operations toolbar, and the push panels. The key point is that good configurations use these regions the way they are intended to be used, rather than working against the platform design. On the right are the 4 design tenets that should guide every configuration. Expediency means the platform supports rapid building, configuration, and iteration. Flexibility means your solution should be configurable and adaptable, so they can scale and evolve with the business. Consistency means users should have a unified and predictable experience so they can move between solutions without relearning everything. Innovation means the platform continues to improve and uses the TraceLink network to anticipate future needs. Now let's talk about UX writing and terminology because words are part of the workflow. This ties directly back to use case 1. Terminology is a form of configuration, so it should follow the Opus writing standards. The guidelines on the left are simple. Be concise, direct, and clear. Use present tense. Use numerals instead of spelling out numbers. Use title case for page titles and sentence case for assistive text. Menu items should be tied to primary objects and labeled from the user's point of view. For search page titles, follow the pattern search plus the object name, such as search purchase orders. Now look at the good and poor examples on the right. Search purchase orders is a good example because it uses title case, it is tied to the object, and it's easy to scan. Look up your POs here is a poor example because it's vague, uses the wrong casing, and is not clearly tied to the business object. The key takeaway is that terminology changes should make the user experience clearer, not just different. Clear words help users understand where they are, what they can do, and what action they should take next. Last topic, roles, policies, and menu visibility. I want to frame this as both a usability decision and a security decision. Access in a solution is governed by 3 things working together: permissions, roles, and policies. Let me define each one. Permissions define what a user can and cannot do. Tracing provides a set of predefined permissions that solution designers cannot modify. Roles group 1 or more permissions into an assignable level of access. For example, a role might allow a user to create, view, and edit purchase orders, and that role can be assigned to many users at once. Policies provide the logic that governs the permissions associated with a role. Follow the chain across the top. User to role to permission to menu item to page. Here is the practical takeaway. Menu items are secured by roles, permissions, and policies, so your role design controls what users can see and access. If a user cannot see a menu item, they cannot reach the link page through that menu configuring. This supports usability because it reduces clutter, and it supports security because it helps users access only the information and operations relevant to their work. So let's pull all of this together with our key takeaways. OSE gives you no-code configuration capabilities for Mint solutions. Standard, marketplace, and company solutions each serve different reuse and customization needs, and the solution lifecycle helps govern change. Good configuration improves process fit, usability, access control, and workflow discipline, while still feeling native to the platform. Remember the 4 use cases we discussed: terminology changes, UI simplification, workflow extensions, and marketplace report reuse. Most importantly, every change should be validated before it's released. That brings us to the end of this training session today. First, we took a look at an introduction to OSE and why Mint needs configuration. Then we took a look at the configuration lifecycle from catalog to activation. Then we took a look at Mint configuration use cases, strategic reuse, and finally design guidelines, UX writing, roles, and visibility. Thank you for your time today watching this training session. If you have any questions, please feel free to email tracinuniversity@tracinc.com.